power. How do you knock a man out?
Number 3.
I actually really enjoyed the fight. Like, it was hard to watch at times, but I think in reflection, when he looks back, he's like, oh, blimey, we went through it in there, didn't we? I was like, yeah.
So I decided what I was going to do is make sure I give you not only the science behind understanding how to deliver a punch to knock someone out, but the actual method of different ways to doing it. Because when you're boxing against an opponent, no matter if it's competitively or if you're in a situation that you didn't plan on getting into.
Quick uppercut. Ryan's going for the
Gervonta Davis doesn't knock people out with his hands. He does it with his feet.
Number one thing is most people fail at this because they overthink it and they do not realize knocking someone out is not all about pressure on a point. It's not about force. It's literally about physiology, the anatomy, human biology. You can't move if there's nothing circulating to that area. If no blood is circulating to an area in the body, it's going to shut down. Hence, we call that a knockout. Okay. If you cannot control where you stand, someone else does, then that's a knockout. And it does not just come from force. So this is what we're going to get into. So number one, check in and let me know, where is it that you're watching from tonight? Of course, I'm here in South Florida. I'm going to be nowhere else in the wintertime, but in 80 degrees, that's kind of what I choose. But what do you choose? And what is it that you are focusing on as the next 3 weeks creep right up on us? And then it's January 1, 2025, the first quarter of this century. You made it. So let's make it special this year. Let's just not enter the year. Let's go into the year.
See, what he said is he didn't know why his son kept losing at these events in the tournaments. And what I explained to him is there's 7 levels in amateur boxing alone. And on every level, they look for something different. First, you're at the entry level, novice. And then you go to open. And then you go to a regional competitor. And after regionals, you go to nationals. And after nationals, you get exposed to international competition. And after international, you go to the Olympics, which is the big boy. And after that, you go into the World Series of Boxing, which is where they take you and transfer you into pros with no headgear. He didn't understand, and I told him they look for different things at different levels of boxing, and you got to have them all. If you're not competent in knowing, then how can you go further? They can't just give it to you because of your name. There are levels in boxing.
So now we're going to get here to my man, Michael J. White. I really like this guy. He's really good at what he does. So he's going to basically explain just a little snippet of what he's showing about power in his tricky.
My target is an inch away from my hand, but I can generate power from a very short distance.
Can generate power from a very short distance. All right. No matter where you're swinging from, golf, baseball, doesn't matter. Whenever you're using energy from the earth, that is the most sold in energy force. Physiology is a real thing. If no one is in your corner understands physiology, this is why I say Archie Moore was so different, because one of the things that he did, he's understood more about physiology than any other fighter in history still. That was who he was. He understood more. That's why his last name was Moore. That's why he had more knockouts than anyone. So let's talk about this thing. Archie Moore wasn't known as a one-punch knockout artist. But what he was known for is positioning himself to hit the guy where he does not know he's being hit. Hence is the other method of knocking a person out. It's not about force, because it only takes 3 pounds of pressure. That means my great niece can knock out a grown man if she hits him right. That's it. So let's overcome the fact that there are people that have a skill, but at the end of the day, they have to understand that there are variations and there are also obstacles that get in your way. Everyone eventually will get their license that has a car, okay? But the license does not guarantee something does not happen, okay? What the license does is it finds another way to get money out of your pocket. That's what license is all about. Anybody can get in a car and wreck. That's all you see. Every time you going out, you see cars wrecked. All right. So anyone can wreck a car. So what is a license really? It's so anything happens, you can be sued. Okay. Your name is tied to a number, and that number, we're going to sue that number. And the third method of knocking out, first is pressure point, second is creating an angle, and third is walking people into your power, fighting off of your back foot. You make it easy. You don't even have to throw the punch. Go look at Muhammad Ali, my guy, Sonny Liston, too. Okay, he walked him into a punch, knock him out. They call it the phantom punch. But the reality is, when someone is running into, have you ever walked in the refrigerator door, hit you in the head, the freezer door? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've turned, but the next way that you can knock a person out, when I talk about walking people into a punch, there's nothing that can take you and make the person. Keith Lee was on the record saying, Keith Lee, the TikToker, truly said that he got beat up so bad that when he was down on the ground, as a matter of fact, I think I'll let you guys hear him say it himself.
Yeah, that was the only time where I got shut out and I got finished in the first round. He was, when I say jab, everything was landed. I was looking up like, how many people in here? I'm looking at his coaches like, how you going to let him jump over the top and come punch me in the face? It's bad, bro.
This is Keith Lee telling the story about fighting, and the one and only time that he got stopped in a fight, he underestimated the opposition because he was so looking forward to the money that was coming. And see, this is the thing that I want you guys to be clear about. Clarification about your situation is a real thing. You cannot just assume you're going to get past someone else who's dying to be at the top the same way you are and could even be more. So there are things that you have to factor in whenever you are leading men to a place where they're trying to create an identity for themselves or their kids or their grandkids, or because they went in there underestimating is a common thing, but it should be the least thing that happens. The only reason you should ever lose is because that guy was just better than you that night. Nothing less than that, because it's not really good. Check this out.
I wake up, my head snap back. Oh, I hear that the time is over. Let me get up and run to my corner. Little do you know, I'm out. I wake up, my head snap back. I stand up and I stumble all the way over to the corner.
This is him seeing himself from above, not even knowing that he was knocked out. This is Keith Lee on his experience of being knocked out.
And the ref, he picked me up and he like, it's over with. You can see in the video, I'm like, why? What happened? I was out.
I have to pause it because I want you guys to really take in what he's saying. So 3, 2, 1.
You still hear everything. You still feel everything. Like you feel like you watching somebody else. Yeah. Like I felt like I was standing over myself and being like, oh, the choke not even in. Right. But the whole time I'm like, calm.
Being knocked out. It's a science, okay? It's not skills. You have to acquire skills, but the science of it is the reason you go out. The skill isn't, because all you got to do is flail and eventually you'll snap and clip somebody. That's not real science. I mean, that's not real skill. All right. I've seen guys like Sakio Bika fight, and that was not high skills. That was just science of his heavy bone. It was molecular, matter versus mass. And one of them will break. And more times than not, it was the other guy who broke. When we talking Edison Miranda, Andre Ward's on the record saying that was the hardest he'd ever been hit, and he was hurt more a week later than he was the day after. So we got to think about, when I talk about knockouts, and things like breathing. And I do want you guys to take a look at the breathing techniques, because if you're exhausted, there's no way that you can actually fight. Not the way you need to survive. So
I've been in countless boxing matches, and I can tell you firsthand that breathing is the secret weapon most fighters overlook. Now let's move on to diaphragmatic breathing. This is where you really want to focus on engaging your diaphragm to take deeper breaths. Place your hand on your stomach and feel it expand as you inhale and contract as you exhale. This technique allows you to take in more oxygen while using less energy compared to shallow chest breathing. I remember when I first started using this technique, it felt weird, but now it's second nature and it saved me in those grueling later rounds. Now that we've covered the basics, let's talk about some more advanced breathing techniques. First up, breath control drills. These drills are designed to simulate fight conditions and help you maintain your rhythm and composure even when you're under pressure.
you have to look at more than the basic technique. Look at the level of concentration that's in his eyes. It's not just, hey, man, I'm just do the breaths. All right, cool. You get unlocked in. No, you have to truly understand in the art of war, everything's blocked out, but what your mission is. And the first thing is to be at your best so that you can do what you need to do against the opposition. Okay. So trainers, there are just so many things that you have to really learn. What is it that you really took away from this when you talk about creating knockouts and hiding the knockout and protruding and being the bully about the knockout? Which one stood out to you the most? And, you know, how will you start practicing, knowing now that you realize more than you already did, that this thing isn't just about skills, it's about science as well. So, and always remember, don't try to do so much stuff because you fear the man who's done one skill 10,000 times opposed to a man who's doing 10,000 things one time. Trust that one, because that's what's going to be the thing that open up everything else. So that's all I got, man. Today, I just wanted to make sure that we could connect on a thing that really is my passion, and that is science. And you guys allow me to talk about it to someone instead of just being in my head. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing that. And the next time you come in, we're going to do what we call the science of the footwork. I'm going to teach you the actual box step and the periodic table inside of the boxing ring. And when you see this, you'll understand the boxing ring so much more. So maybe that's something you want to see. If it is, make sure you hit like on the post. And I know that you've heard this at the end. All right. Till next time, be blessed. Boom, boom. Remember, if you got to get your mind in the right place, the first thing you want to do is get that power, that internal power, and stop caring about what people think about you and start focusing on what you are here to do. Your cause is the power. That's why I had to start getting my power on with Power Junkie Boxing. 5 minutes, 5 days. I'm a different guy in just 1 week. And 2025 is the first quarter of the year. Make it special. Make it yours. Internal power, external power. This was the Knockout Show by Coach Bradley. So long.